Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new episode of Conspiracy Hub. Today we're talking about the Jewish dug tunnels in New York City and whether or not they are evil. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. Listen, none of this that we're about to talk about is anti-Semitic. I'm not talking about their religion. I'm not talking about any of that stuff, nor am I talking about Palestine, Israel. That's not what we're getting into here. We are specifically discussing whether or not what we're seeing right now in New York City regarding these tunnels is evil. That's all. We're going to go through the evidence, we're going to talk about it, and we'll discuss it right here. Now, firstly, let's quantify what I mean by evil. Let's quantify what people think evil means regarding these tunnels. Well, I have never seen anyone dig tunnels and it wasn't like nefarious. You know what I mean? Like, when have you ever heard of a friend like, hey, I'm just going to go down real quick and dig some tunnels under my house and don't think anything of it. The last time I've heard of people digging tunnels under their house, it was to transport drugs, children, drugs and children, drugs inside of children, drugs around children. You know, tunnels for me are usually associated with drugs, and you guessed it, children. So let's look through the evidence, let's look through the videos, let's look through the news reports, and at the end of this, I will be able to tell you whether I think that the Jewish tunnels in New York City being evil is conspiracy or cap. Let's go. Okay, so here we are, New York synagogue tunnels incident, all right? So let's first discuss what the heck this all is. Let's get all the full context. So here it is. On January 8th of 2024, clashes broke out at the world headquarters of the chabad-lubavitch synagogue at 770 Eastern Parkway in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, as construction workers on behalf of the synagogue's leaders attempted to fill in tunnels that had been illegally dug by students beneath the building. Okay, so we're making it clear that there is a distinction between the Jewish leaders of this particular building and synagogue and the students that dug this into the ground and through the buildings, okay? So I think there was some confusion as to whether or not the leaders of the synagogue allowed this to happen or called for it to happen. According to just the few pieces of evidence we've read so far, the Jewish leaders of the synagogue did not want this. It was unsanctioned. They didn't want it. They called in New York City to fill it in. But the students of said synagogue, the younger people, were the ones that were like, don't fill it in. Okay, so let's keep on reading and see what else we can find. All right, I know a lot of you trust the BBC, so let's see what they have to say, all right? Illegal New York synagogue tunnel lead to 9 arrests. Wow, that's an update. I didn't know it led to that many arrests. Okay, so here we go. 9 members of the New York Hasidic Jewish community have been arrested and charged over a secret tunnel that connected to a historic synagogue, all right? They fought police after city officials and leaders of the I got to learn how to say this word, Lubavitch headquarters came to close the tunnel. The men were charged with criminal mischief, reckless endangerment, and obstructing government administration. Yet, there's still no word as to what was in the tunnels. I'm noticing that. And every video I've seen so far has not mentioned anything about what's in the tunnel. So hopefully we can get into that. The tunnels were built under a prominent street in Brooklyn where the chabad-lubavitch headquarters are located. The building is one of the most significant Jewish sites in the city. City inspectors were called to the Shabab on Monday to conduct an emergency structural inspection, which again, I believe that was because the people, the leaders of the synagogue were like, yo, we don't want this here. Somebody needs to come move this. Why is this tunnel here? They called them, and that's how the city got involved, okay? All right. There are looming concerns that the illegal tunnel could have caused damage to the famous property. Again, still not telling us what was inside that tunnel, freaking me out. A brawl broke out after police found a group of young men blocking efforts to inspect and fill the tunnel with cement. Some of the men then broke through the wall of the prayer space. Those acts led to the arrest. All right, so here's my biggest concern here. As of right now, we still haven't discussed what's actually inside the tunnels, all right? The reason why there's so many conspiracies surrounding the evil happening inside these tunnels is because everyone knows that tunnels are not associated with anything good. So I'm thinking to myself, while looking and reading all of this, what were inside the tunnels? In order to convince me that these tunnels are not nefarious and that they're not evil, I need somebody to at least explain to me who's gone down there, what's in the tunnels, what were they doing in there. That's all I'm saying. I think that's what everyone is saying right now. All right, so Rabbi Yehuda Krinsky, the chairman of the Chabad, thanked police for their efforts and said the community was pained by the vandalism of the group and young agitators. Okay, so obviously there is some real hatred toward these agitators and these students. I definitely get that, okay? If they did vandalize and they destroyed parts of the synagogue, that's jacked up, okay? Any religious group will tell you who, has a synagogue, a church, a mosque. You don't desecrate that. You don't mess that up. That is their center of prayer and worship, and it's messed up to even touch that, right? Which is all the more reason why it's confusing, why these other Jewish men who are aware of these customs, who are aware of how important a synagogue is, why would they build these tunnels, okay? What's the deal? We got to keep looking. The tunnel, a passageway between the headquarters of the group, the chabad-lubavitch movement, and at least one adjacent property, was first discovered late last year, according to local news reports. But on Monday afternoon, after a cement truck was brought to fill it in, some Hasidic men attempted to block that effort. All right, so I did read the report on this. So apparently there was a man or a woman, it was a person, a New York citizen, who was hearing like whispers underneath their floorboard, and they lived on like the bottom floor of their apartment or their house or whatever, wherever they were. They were the bottom, okay? And they were freaked out because they kept hearing like chatter. They were like, what is going on? Why am I hearing this? And it was literally because part of the tunnel passageway was leading underneath this person's property that was going to the building that they're talking about now. So apparently this tunnel stretched across like the street from one building, one part of the building of the Jewish synagogue place to another, okay? And so that's basically what was going on. Again, still don't know why those tunnels were there. We really need to figure that part out. Okay, so here's the part that freaks me out the most, all right? It is not yet known exactly who built the tunnel, how they did so, or what they hoped to accomplish, but two men who said they spoke with some of those who broke through the synagogue wall said the motive was to hasten the expansion of 770, which is the name of the 770 Eastern Parkway, the building that they're talking about. A move that they say the Lubavitcher movement leader, Rabbi Menachem Mandel Sheshnerson, known as the Rabbi, called for more than 3 decades ago. So in their minds, what they were doing was they were trying to expand the 770 by creating these secret and really strange tunnels underneath the building in order to hasten the expansion that was called forth by a rabbi back 30 years ago. That still sounds mad sus. Like, I think that's the part people are like misunderstanding, right? Because, we're not going to jump to conclusions. We're not anti-Semitic here. We're not like jumping to conclusions about anything or anyone or their motives. But that's why this channel exists. We have to look at it as a whole. Does it make sense to any of you watching that they would be like, hey, we want to expand the 770 by building tunnels underneath the 770? By the way, tunnels that are inherently deconstructive, okay? Tunnels that can disrupt the architecture and mess up the integrity of the 770 that we care so much about. None of that makes sense. None of that makes sense. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to sit here and say that these tunnels are meant to expand the 770 when those tunnels are literally destroying the 770. Then you come out the other wall and destroy parts of the inside of the 770. Something's not adding up. I don't know what is happening, and this is what's disturbing me. I think this is why everybody is so kind of like angry right now, because we're like, okay, we get that there are secret illegal tunnels in Brooklyn that connect these synagogues, but why? So now we're going to look at some videos and pictures, because I think that these videos and pictures are a lot more damning than just the articles themselves. So let's go ahead and start looking at some of these images and stuff, okay? Okay, so this part right here is kind of wild. First of all, do you guys see all of these mattresses? Like these soiled, it looks like bled on mattresses? That looks like a spot of blood. People have been pointing this particular video out for quite some time. Okay, yeah. So as you can see here, I want you guys to look at this. This is the part that makes no sense. Why is this guy just sitting here smiling? Like this whole thing is just weird. I don't understand. You have this guy who I guess was found inside of the tunnel along with some of his other buddies. And they're just kind of sitting there smiling, reading something, holding something. And people are just around here taking pictures, laughing about it. And look at this kid. Like, I don't understand how there was such a huge oversight here in this synagogue. And then, of course, we get the fighting, we get the scuffling, we get to the people pushing and shoving, and you know the police officers eventually start to deploy pepper spray, which we see in this video. The entire mystery of this tunnel, okay, is disturbing because we again know that tunnels and holes and travel points that are unseen by those above are usually associated with evil doing, okay? Bad things and sex trafficking and just all sorts of stuff that's just unsavory, all right? So is it safe for us to assume that something was going on down there that shouldn't have been going on? I think so. I mean, to me, the conspiracy that, that they were, I don't know, selling organs or something is a little far-fetched, but them doing something down there they should not have been doing, something dastardly, I think it's very likely. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So this is great. There is actual video of the 50-foot long tunnel beneath the Brooklyn synagogue. Let's watch this video and we'll take it frame by frame so we can kind of watch what's inside the tunnel. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. All right. So we see boxes. We see a bathroom. See chairs. It just looks like a bunch of dirt, clothes, like a lot of clothes for some reason. There's the baby chair, the baby carriage. Okay, there's the evidence of that. It's still very strange. It just looks so dirty, Okay, we got looks like stuff hung up on the walls. It looks like an old bathroom. I don't know how, none of this seems like it was just dug up randomly. This seems like it was here for a long, long time. Okay, and then that's an even deeper hole. Okay, so yeah, so this tunnel was designed to stretch into an abandoned women's mikvah or ritual bath around the corner to expand, quote unquote, expand the synagogue. Okay, sure. And again, like I said before, my biggest question is why the fighting? Why the anger? Why the angst? You know what I mean? Why are these Jewish men getting hemmed up and arrested over what? You guys are really fighting over, the expansion of the 770. You guys are you dug up these tunnels. You went down into some weird, dark, dank, nasty place, dug up these tunnels that took God knows how long because they obviously don't have dynamite, right? They don't have power drills. What do these guys use? Spoons? They use cereal spoons and they just sat there digging it like this for how long? How long did it take anyway, they dig these holes, the tunnels, and then you're fighting the police, fist fighting the police because you're mad that you guys were found out. To me, and I think to many other people, nobody would fight that hard for something that wasn't evil and weird. I don't know. I'm just saying, why else would you be fist fighting over something like this unless it was really detrimental and important that you keep this tunnel? You know what I mean? And to me, trying to convince me that these tunnels were not used for something other than the expansion of the 770, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it, man. There's been no time in history where, tunnels like this were not used for something illegal, right? I can't think of a time where somebody looked at tunnels and were like, yeah, cool, leave them. What's the problem with that? We love tunnels. Tunnels are cool. No. Okay, so after looking at all the evidence, after looking at everything for the reason why they did it, how long they've been doing it for, who got arrested, all of that stuff, I can confidently tell you guys that I believe that whether or not this is evil, dastardly plan for world domination, I don't know. But something does feel kind of off to me, okay? So I think the evil New York Jewish tunnels are in fact conspiracy. I think that's a solid conspiracy to have. It's a solid one to have, dude. I'm sorry, I can't look, I don't care if this tunnel was in the hood, bro. If you called me up and said, hey man, your niggas are out here in Atlanta and the police found illegal tunnels, I'm immediately gonna think these niggas is human traffickers. I'm sorry, like you're not gonna tell me about some holes and some tunnels and it not sound like y'all are pushing drugs or people or illegal contraband. You can't. I think this was interesting. I did want to go through the evidence. I wanted to make sure that you saw it too. I don't want anyone just going off of nothing. I want everyone to be informed, properly informed about what's happening, why it's happening, who's doing it, all that stuff. So that's what this video was. And I do believe the conspiracy that these tunnels are a little sus. They're not just a little sus. They're very sus. They're evil. Something's going on down there. And I'm glad that the Jewish leaders patched that up because it's about time. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video. And again, if you want to buy a cap, they are available in the description below. These caps are very comfortable. They are adjustable as well. And anytime you feel like a conspiracy is cap, you can always throw it on and tell people that's cap. Okay? This one though, not cap. I don't think this conspiracy is fake at all. I think it makes a lot of sense, and they need to investigate more about what these individuals were doing and whether or not there are more tunnels like this in New York City, which by the way, I can almost guarantee you my bottom dollar that there are.